Hey, what's good, everybody? It's me, your hero, Benjamin Banks, and you're watching Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. And there's a brand new episode of Who's That Cosplayer? And joining me today is somebody that, I'm really excited to be interviewing today because just like your boy who has the peaks on top of peaks, she has the peaks on top of peaks too because she's always killing it in the gym. And that is Itsaudrey Cosplay. Audrey, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm tired. It's been a long week, but I'm really excited to be here. So,
hey, I love to hear it. And, your boy is tired too, but like I tell people, that's my secret, Cap. I'm always tired. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So let's go ahead and get into this interview. But before we do that, everybody that's watching, make sure that you like this video, you subscribe to the channel, and you hit that bell button so that way you're always notified when we have new content here on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. And as D always says, podcast link down below in the description. Like, follow, subscribe. So let's go ahead and get into this thing. So Audrey, the first question that I ask each and every guest up here is, what is your origin story? Every hero or villain has one. So tell everybody who you are.
So admittedly, I'm the first to say it. I'm kind of a cosplay noob. I haven't even been doing this for a year. I think very beginning of January was my very first con. But in high school, I would always say to my best friend, man, we got to put cosplay on our bucket list because those people look like they're having a great time. Didn't think about it for probably 7 years. And then I started law school where I met Ren.True, shout out, who cosplayed. And they were like, yeah, I cosplayed. And I had just finished watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which I'm sure we'll get into. And I was like, oh my God, I need to be Jolene. Take me with you the next one you go to. So that was ALA in January. And then since then, I've just been super consistent with it. And it's just been a really fun ride.
That's awesome. And, for somebody that hasn't been, cosplaying for so long, you've done some amazing cosplays so far. And
thank you.
You're welcome. And one of the cool things that I love about what you do with your cosplay is that you make them your own. You know what I'm saying? And, I want to ask you now, what was it that inspired you to want to make the cosplays yourself?
So that really first started out with Jolene because I'd seen a lot of people using the just the ones that are available online, and obviously buying your cosplays is totally fine, but I just knew my proportions would look whack in the one that was online. I was like, there's no way that that's going to look any type of way that I want it to on me. So I just had to go on a search for all kinds of and you know how the JoJo's dress, just bizarre clothing that I had to see, that I had to track down. And especially with Jolene, I got a lot. I didn't I'm, as I said, a noob. So sewing is really not my forte. So with a lot of them, what I do is find base pieces that I think will work and then do a lot of modifications. Like this Wonder Woman, it's just a red corset from Amazon, and then I added the foam. So I've been getting into a little bit more sewing recently just because I like having just the personalization factor, or if you just can't buy it online, if nobody's making it, if it's unavailable, but it's something that I really want to do. I just kind of like having that freedom. But definitely my bread and butter is finding base pieces that work and then doing all the little additions and modifications that I need to get it to be where I need it to be.
Yeah, and I feel you on that, man, because it's I want to say for my Kira cosplay, I wanted to see if I could find the wig online, because with most cosplays, you can usually find wigs online, but his Bites the Dust wig, I could not find that online anywhere. And there was somebody that had made it, but they made it years ago. You know what I'm saying? So I was just like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to have to make the wig myself. And it turned out pretty good. And I loved it. But now I got to do a new one because I left it out in the car and it is completely destroyed. Never leave anything in the car, everybody that's watching.
Absolutely.
Never leave. But yeah, I just think that it's cool. Again, like I said, you do your own stuff, and how you had mentioned with body proportions and stuff like that. Some cosplays that you buy online, even if you get it the right size, the way that it fits and the way that it feels, sometimes it can feel uncomfortable. And even when you do get that stuff, you can always make some adjustments to it and re-sew it yourself so that way that it is good. But again, pinky's up for you for doing your own thing when it comes to your cosplay. So I want to mention, because one of the cosplays you did, your Starfire cosplay, which is, one that is a really phenomenal one that you've done. Like, how awesome was it when the artists had, I believe did they comment or did they reshare your cosplay in their story?
So both actually. So it was first the author of like the current Titans comic books. I mean I tagged him, so I do know how he saw it, but he eventually found it like weeks after I had posted it. And then he commented, I think it was absolutely awesome, I think were his words. And then he shared it to his story. And then the artist saw it, who I also tagged her, but she didn't see that. She saw his story and then she commented and shared it to her story too. So that was just like really awesome because I saw it like in the middle of the night. I texted the person who edited it, graphics by JMD. Check him out. Another shout out. And so that was just a super exciting moment, especially because Comic-Con was coming up. I think like a week or two after that, and so they were going to be there, and so I was just super hyped. And also I'm aware that I've been really spamming the Starfire the past couple weeks since Comic-Con. I'm not doing that on purpose. I'm not abandoning Jolene or anybody else. I just been, life. I've been too busy, and Jolene is a big job to get in and out of. So
oh, trust me,
she's still in my heart.
I totally understand. I mean, well, I'll say, man, like JoJo cosplays, like Jotaro, for example, all I'm doing is putting on some pants and a shirt and a jacket. It's easy, but I can understand, like, some of the cosplays that you may do, it may take a minute to get into. I mean, like Kisame, for example. The only time I do Kisame is when I'm going to a convention. I don't do no TikToks, no nothing. Like, it's just like, if I'm going to do TikToks, it is going to be the day that I am cosplaying him at the convention, because I am not wasting my makeup to do a video for 10 seconds. So
yeah, it's the same way with Starfire too. Like, all of my posts from her have been from the one day at Comic-Con. And I went in and I said, my goal is to get 1,000,000 years of content, so I don't have to keep painting myself orange, but I can still like throw her into the rotation on Instagram. That or editing, which is chef's kiss, very helpful.
Yes. Yeah, the editing is everybody's friend, especially when you get a good editing app. So I want to ask you, because you do a lot of comic book stuff, but at the same time, you love anime stuff too. I want to know, like, what do you love more? Do you love anime manga, or do you like comics more?
That's a tough question, because the comics is like a new thing for me. So that's like in the front of my brain right now. Like, obviously JoJo's like the anime, it's always like the foundation of how I got into this. But you know how hyperfixations work. It ebbs and flows, but obviously JoJo will always be my home. But right now I'm having a lot of fun with the comics. They're doing some fun stuff over at DC. So
yeah, I mean,
I'm dividing my attention.
yeah, I mean, Starfire, Wonder Woman now. Who's next for you when it comes to comic book heroes?
Comic book heroes? So I have, I think, 4 on my cause plans, and 2 of them are much more realistic for me right now than the other 2. So coming up, I want to do Wonder Girl / Donna Troy.
Nice.
In her like black like jumpsuit look. I think that would be super fun and very, very easy and cost effective. Same with Zatanna. It's just like a magician outfit. That's easy. You just got to get the pieces together. And then further down the line, once I get my coin up, Batgirl from the video game Arkham Knight. I think that design is super cool, even though personally, as a Starfire truther, I have beef with Batgirl. But and then also I think Ravager, like Deathstroke's daughter, would be super cool. And those are my plans for the comic side of things coming up.
Yeah, I like it. All right, so now I'm going to have to ask you, because like a lot of the characters that you just named are characters that are affiliated with the Titans or the Teen Titans. So I know you said that you really just started getting into comic books, but is the Teen Titans, is that something that like you love to read heavily, or was it just something where it's like, hey, I grew up, I watched Teen Titans, I've always liked them, so like those are my go-tos when it comes to comic characters?
So I actually was fully a Nickelodeon child growing up.
Ooh.
I was not Cartoon Network at all. I don't know what it was. I would just change the channel. So it wasn't like a Teen Titans thing growing up. My boyfriend actually was like, I think you could pull off a good Starfire. And so I looked up like a picture of like the original, like from the 80s, and I was like, you're right, because she's tall and has big curly hair. And so I was sold. That's all I need to like a character, honestly. If they're tall and they have big curly hair, then I'm like, I can try my best to look like that person. So I kind of worked backwards. I tried reading the recent stuff 1st, and that I learned quickly that does not work, because that I still don't even know how everything like fits together. So then I just went back to like 1980 and read how many years, 50 years worth of content the past couple of months. But they're short, they're only like 20 pages. So
yeah, exactly.
to get through. But I'm definitely on a like a Teen Titans pathway as of now.
Yeah.
Navigating through the lore.
Yeah, I mean, like you just mentioned that you wanted to do Donna Troy. It's like I've always known who she is, but I really didn't start to, get to know her until the Titans TV show that came out. And I really enjoyed her up there. And it sucks that the show got canceled, because I really enjoyed it. I don't know, did you have the chance to get into it?
I've seen a couple episodes here and there, but I'm not too much of like a TV show person. Unfortunately, I would love to be, but I just don't have the time. But I've seen a few here and there, and I like what they did with it. I like how they like incorporated so many of like the more obscure characters, like you were saying. Like nobody really knows who Donna Troy is, but unless I guess they would read the comics or watch the show. But then everybody would know like the main 5 from the cartoon.
Yeah.
So I like what they were doing with that.
Who's that cosplayer?
Winky Taru.
Exactly. So, now I want to kind of segue, because you had mentioned it, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. We all love JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Jolene was the first character that you cosplayed as. I want to know, which part of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is your favorite part?
See, so
I feel like I know the answer, but I hope that I'm wrong.
This is a complicated question for me, because my favorite is not the same as the one that I think is the best, if that makes sense. It's kind of like he like did the best job like writing this one versus like this is home to me. So I'm going to have to give my favorite, I think, to part 3, because that's just the one that I feel myself coming back to, and I love Jotaro, and I just love all the dynamics of the characters. But then I think, and full disclosure, I have not read the manga, so I cannot speak for 7, 8, and 9, although it's on my list and I will get there, I promise. I think 6 is probably the best written. Close second is 5, but I think Araki did the best with 6. I was watching like the last batch with my brother, and we kind of just like sat down and just like worked through all of it. And he's so much more into anime than I am. He'll kill me if he hears me say that, because he tries to act like he's too cool. But if you name an anime, he has seen it. And he introduced me to JoJo, so all this is his fault. But he looked at me and he said, Audrey, I think this is the most bizarre JoJo's adventure has been. And I said, I think you're right.
Yeah.
So I feel like part 6 was just kind of so like fantastical that I have to give that one the best. However, part 3 is close to my heart.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I mean, because I remember reading somewhere a long time ago that Araki, like, he was just ready to reset the entire universe, which he did, because he wasn't a fan of like what JoJo had become. And even though like I really enjoy part 6, it was just one of those things where he was just like, yeah, I'm ready to wrap this thing up. Like, I don't like the direction, I'm done with this. And thankfully he came out with Steel Ball Run, and from what I've heard from so many people is that it's one of the best things that he's done. But yeah, part 3, that's the Dragon Ball Z of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And like, that's why so many people love it. And I mean, that was the first one that came over here to America back in the 90s. I want to say at the time, I want to say part 5 came out.
I think
yeah, because part 6 came out like in 2001, I think. And then, so yeah, part 5 had to had already been out. I think I can't remember. I'm aging myself. But
It's
anyway,
confusing.
all right. Which JoJo is your favorite JoJo? Which Joestar?
See, this one's hard for me too because I'm like, oh, like it sounds like a simple question. It should be easy to answer, but then I go down the line and I think of each one, and I'm like, oh, this one's my favorite, and then I think of the next one. I'm like, no, this one's my favorite. So I'm going to have to give it to Jotaro for my number one. Jolene, close second. Honorable mention to Jonathan, because I think he gets not enough credit for what he's done. Because Thundercross Split Attack changed my life. That like altered my brain chemistry when that happened on the screen. I was like, oh my god, this show is perfect. So credit to part one and to Jonathan for exposing me to Thundercross Split Attack.
Yeah, man, it's like I don't know why people say that part one is so boring. Like I love part one for what it is, and I don't know, man. I feel like and I've heard this from people before, is that like if you watch all of JoJo and then you go back and start from the beginning, like with all the knowledge that you have, you can appreciate part one and part two a lot more, because like there were no stands. It was all pretty much just hand-to-hand combat and whatnot, and you know that's why I love it. So
yeah,
now I want to know which villain from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is your favorite villain. Ooh, I almost knocked over my lamp. But yeah, which villain is your favorite? It can be a major antagonist or it can be a minor one.
Well, I love Dio because he is just exceptionally slay from day one to the very end, and he is on my cause plans. He will be coming imminently.
Nice.
But I also really love Cars and just like the Pillar Men in general. A big part of it is because of how amazing their theme music is. It's on my workout playlist. I listen to it every day and it motivates me. I have a picture of Cars in my phone to look at on leg days when I do not want to do it. I look at him and I think that's the standard. So yeah, I think I'll have to do Dio and Cars, which is I have a Cars cosplay and I keep being thwarted. My plans keep changing, so I haven't been able to debut him at a con yet, but I think he might be coming next at my next event.
All right, so I want to ask you Cars versus Dio before he gets the world. Who do you think wins it? Oh, and I gotta make it fair. I gotta make it fair. Cars before he becomes the ultimate life form, and Dio before he gets his stand. Who do you think wins?
That's a good question that I surprisingly haven't thought of. But off the top of my head, I think I'm gonna give it to Cars because he's been around the block. Like he knows what he's doing with these powers. Dio just got here. Dio's reckless. He's like 19. He doesn't know what he's doing. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna have to give it to Cars. He's a god.
Yeah, I mean that's true. You know, and you know, something I wanted to piggyback off of what you were saying about the Pillar Men's music. Like when I'm at the gym and when I gotta lift like super heavy, and if that song comes on, I'm like, all right, it's time to get to work. It's time to get to work. It's like you do not play when that song comes on, especially like somebody had did a remix where it's the Pillar Men featuring Lil Jon. I'm just like, all right.
I'm going to look that up.
Yeah, it's insane. It is insane. So, all right, now final JoJo question. If you could have your own stand, one that hasn't appeared in the series, what would the stand's name be and what would the stand's ability be?
Let me tell you, because I already know the answer. Her name is Twisted Sister. Ooh. Okay. Like, Twisted Sister, like as in the band.
The band. Yep.
I'm thinking the colors. I want it humanoid, similar to Star Platinum. I'm thinking like white, pink, and purple for the color scheme. I need giant flowing hair. See, I already have her pictured in my mind.
Now hold on, is it flowing hair like Cars or flowing hair like Starfire?
Like Cars. Okay. I need like the creepy tendrils and whatnot. I'm seeing like a gladiator type fit, kind of like Wonder Woman in like the movies maybe. And I want the close combat. Like you only have like 3 meters of range, but she can really pack a punch. Because I just think those are so cool. Because like Star Platinum was so OP in part 3, just because he could hit harder than everybody else. And then everybody started getting all these crazy abilities like weather report and his snails. But I say we take it back to basics and just she can really get a left hook in there. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, but what's the ability that she has?
Okay, how about so she's the close range power type, right? But it can go anywhere I've been within like a 5-mile radius and like grab things and like bring them back to me. That's cool. That's useful. Not super powerful like when far away, but like if somebody's like, oh my god, they're escaping, you can go bring them back to within 3 meters of me, and then really show them what's what. See, now the wheels are turning.
Okay. All right. I love it. Twisted Sister. And that's why I love asking the question, because everybody has a unique stand, except one time where J Joestar and Avino had to stand with the same name and the same ability. And Jay's episode came out after, and they had never seen Avino's episode, which was just so wild. And like I always say, stand users are drawn to each other, and that was a bizarre JoJo reference. So final thing before we wrap this thing up, we've been talking about working out and all that stuff. I gotta ask you, what has been one of your biggest achievements that you have accomplished in the gym?
That's tough because I never really test PRs.
Now you really have to.
Now I have to, and then I'll get back. It was a big deal when I benched 100 pounds for the first time. That's the 25s on either end, and then I think a 2.5. That was exciting for me. I wish my squat was better, but I have like no cartilage in either of my knees, so it's not good. I can hip thrust 315, 325, depending on the day. That's my big number.
Awesome. I love to hear that. And and like when you had mentioned being able to bench 100 pounds, it's just like, some people will act like that's not a lot, but it's just like, when I'm at the gym and like when some of my women friends come out and work out with me and whatnot, to see from where they started at when they pretty much were only doing 20 pounds to, working up. And I don't think anybody I've ever worked out with has hit 100 yet, but they've gotten up there. Like when they got to, I think my last friend that came with me, she was able to do, I think 60. And that's coming from when she first started and she could only do 10. You know what I'm saying? So
it's
that's
hard.
what I'm saying. Yeah,
it's hard for women to like build up those muscles.
It's all about consistency, and the longer you stay consistent, eventually you see the peaks on top of peaks. So Audrey,
exactly.
Thank you so much for joining me up here on Who's That Cosplayer. It was awesome.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So before I let you go, let everybody in social media land know where they can find you at.
Okay, you can find me at Itsaudrey.cosplay on Instagram and also TikTok. But you don't have to do that. I never post there. And if I do, it's all the same stuff on Instagram. So Instagram is where you should go. Itsaudrey.cosplay.
Awesome. Y'all make sure that y'all go and follow her on Instagram, and make sure that you follow her on TikTok as well. And slide in them DMs and be like, hey, start doing some of them crazy TikTok dances at Starfire. So that way you can have 1,000,000 years of content of just TikTok dances. And you know where you can find me, your hero, Benjamin Banks at King Benji_Banks on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find me on Facebook at Benjamin Banks. I should be the first person to pop up. If not, then I need to contact Mr. Zuckerberg. So with that being said, keep that pinky up, stay positive. We'll see you next time on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Peace.
Thanks again, everybody, for watching another episode of Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe to the channel. Podcast, we got that too. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and hit that bell for further episodes and notifications. Thanks a lot to our patrons. And if you don't mind, join the Patreon. We'll be having new specials coming up soon.